of talk about bugging out in a end of the world as we know it type scenario. But one thing I don't hear much of is bugging out in a forced bugging out situation where it's not necessarily the end of the world as we know it, but it might be, or it might seem to be, the end of the world as I know it or you know it personally. So instead of a wide-scale event, maybe you lost your job or whatever, for whatever reason, you have to move out of your home and find a way to live and get by on just a little bit of money. Now, I kind of know what I'm talking about because this happened to me several years ago. And I was fortunate enough to already have some land to go and live on. Just wooded land, totally unimproved, out in the boonies. But I moved out there and lived off grid for a few years and made the best of it, and I actually enjoyed it. And in fact, that's where my web page and then eventually my YouTube page originated, was in that particular experience that I went through and what I did to survive, what I learned while surviving there. And but having a piece of land can make the difference between just being some crazy hermit living out in the woods and being some homeless guy under the bridge. And believe me, I'll take the former over the latter, as I'm sure most of you would. So let's consider what type of land you would need in a scenario like that. And maybe, things are going along fine right now, but you might want to look for a piece of land like that to use for recreational land, camping, hunting, or whatever now, but to have it set aside just in case you ever need it in the future, because you never know what might happen. And you want to be able to take care of yourself, take care of your family. You don't want to be out there living in public and open to any kind of criminal activity or whatever that presents itself to you. It makes you feel a lot better to have a home of your own. The type of land you're looking for is going to cost no more than $1,000 an acre, because land that costs more than that is desirable land, and with desirability comes government interference and taxation and restrictions and all that sort of stuff. You want the type of land that you can just go put up a little building or, even a tent or whatever. Park a travel trailer on it or what have you. And, dig an outhouse if you need to or whatever you got to do, and not be messed with by the local authorities. Also, you want to be able to cut firewood on the land if it's an area that gets cold. And it's good if you're able to go out there and hunt and, gather some of your own food. And of course, you also need to have a little bit of land to maybe have a garden too. Now, I've seen some really cheap land like that. In fact, I once bought 5 acres of desert land for $1,000. That's $200 an acre. And it was so cheap that it wasn't even available in smaller than 5-acre parcels. But you can find land in wooded lands of, say, Oklahoma and Arkansas, for example, for maybe $500 an acre, or maybe as much as $1,000 an acre. But you're looking for a piece of land, like I said, where you can do what you need to do and not have the authorities coming out and hassling you just because you're there living on your own land and off grid or whatever. you might find a suitable piece of land that you can just pay cash for if you have the money. Say an acre or two for a couple of $1,000s tops. Or you might be able to find a piece of land that you can get owner financing on and pay $200 or $300 up to maybe $1,000 down, and a small payment monthly for a few years to pay it off. I know that's what a lot of people have to do. And in fact, back in the early 90s, I was looking at some land in an area that I drove through professionally on a regular basis. And I liked the area, and there was a river that ran through there that was kind of popular for canoeing and also for fishing. And I found one of the local realtors had bought quite a bit of riverfront property on the little river and was selling it. I think it was actually less than 1/4 of an acre tracts, but it was cheap. He was offering owner financing, and if I remember correctly, it was about $100 down and $40 a month. And I remember that for sure. It was $40 a month. I don't remember for sure exactly what the down payment was, but it wasn't a lot. And pay off in 3 or 4 years. So, that would be a possibility. And there were a few people living on those little tracts. But that would certainly be better than nothing, It's not much land. It was, I don't remember for sure what the size was, but it was something on the neighborhood of 50 feet wide and 100 feet deep, and backed up by the river, fronted by a little dirt road. So, that would be workable, because you would have access to the river for fish, and that could make up a pretty good portion of your diet. So I recently bought this little shop building, and that's what got me thinking about this again. This thing is 10 feet wide and 16 feet long with a window in the back. And, if you had a piece of land, if you had to bug out and get by on just a little bit of money, one of these buildings would be a possibility for something to live in, as long as you had a piece of land to put it on. Now, this building is it was between $2,500 and $3,000. And that varies a little bit, but that's the basic range. Or you can rent to own, and it would have been something like $300 down and less than $150 a month for 3 years. And after 3 years, it becomes yours free and clear. So if you didn't have much income and little to no savings, that would be a decent way to go. Now, this thing has a loft, and up here we've got 4 feet. I've got some stuff stored up there already, and then there's a 4-foot open section here, and then in the back there's an 8-foot loft separate. So let's think about what we could do here. This open section here, because of the headroom, that would be a good place to have a bathroom. And you could do the 5-gallon bucket with sawdust or kitty litter in it for a toilet, and small plastic wading pool with a shower curtain made of a cheap blue tarp as a shower if you needed to, and pump up sprayer for the water part of the shower. And that works. I've done that. Or you can you could scavenge some old travel trailers. Go to a motor home junkyard and scavenge parts out of travel trailers and motorhomes and whatnot. And you know, maybe find a little shower stall, or buy a new cheap fiberglass shower stall. Actually, a full-sized one would fit in here. So anyway, you just set up a little bathroom, bring it out about 4 feet. That would be enough. All you need is a small bathroom. Over on this side, you can put a wood stove. Up here, you know, put your kitchen, maybe a refrigerator over on this side, and a little bit of counter space. Stove over here, little RV stove, or even just a Coleman camp stove or something. Just something to cook on. A hot plate, you know, if you've got a generator. So, let's say, starting right here, this would be the bathroom wall. So, you could have, you know, your chair and table, hopefully better than what I've got here. A couch. And over here, have a desk with your computer and whatnot. And up here, a sleeping loft. Plenty of room up there, 8 by 10 feet. So, you know, that's quite a bit of space. And, you know, if you have visitors, they could sleep on the couch. If you have kids, you could have them sleep down here, probably. So, anyway, this will be quite livable and much more adaptable for off-grid living than the typical modern house is. And not to mention, much cheaper. So that's something to consider. If you ever find yourself in a situation like that, this would be much better than living under a bridge.